your place for quick summaries of movies with jaw-dropping twists. Let's dive in. Kamala is a Pakistani Muslim girl living with her family in America, but they were committed to their traditions and customs and tried to raise their children well and keep them away from the negative aspects of the society they lived in. Kamala was obsessed with Captain Marvel and believed she was the strongest superhero in the entire universe. She even created a YouTube channel where she posted videos about her and explained why she thought she was the strongest among all the superheroes and how she was the only one who managed to defeat Thanos when he wanted to destroy Earth again. The Avengers and superheroes were admired all over the world, and her channel and videos were highly appreciated by many people who loved watching and following her. One day, her mom called her to hurry up because she was late for her driving test. Kamala quickly got ready and went to start the test. The examiner got into the car with her and asked her to start the car and drive. At that moment, instead of driving normally, Kamala reversed at full speed, hitting the examiner's car and failing the test. There would be no license this year. Her mom and dad then dropped her off at school, where her mom was very upset, blaming Kamala for being from a family that always daydreamed and imagined things that didn't exist, isolating them from reality. At school, it was clear that Kamala was not one of the popular or well-liked students. On the contrary, she was often bullied and treated arrogantly, and she only had two friends: Bruno, an American genius who was into computers and electronic inventions, and another friend. While talking to Bruno about a party being held for Avengers fans, she told him that she was almost done with her costume to go together. The costume was for Captain Marvel. At that time, the principal called her. The school counselor talked to her, trying to find a solution to her problem of daydreaming in class and not focusing on anything because she dreamed too much. He told her that imagination is great and all, but we must live in reality and accept ourselves and our abilities instead of living in fantasies. When Kamala returned home, she found a box her grandmother had sent her. When she opened it, she found some old things and pictures along with a strange bracelet with words she couldn't understand or read. When she asked her mom about the bracelet and whose it was, her mom got upset, took it from her quickly, and had Amir put it away, far from Kamala. Later, her mom took her to the market to continue preparations for Amir's wedding. At that time, Bruno was at Kamala's house, installing a new surveillance system for her dad, who was amazed by modern technology and couldn't believe that everything in the house had become electronic. He was thrilled that by simply calling out to Zuzu, the smart computer, and giving it commands, it would instantly do things like turn on the TV or turn off the lights. When Kamala returned home, she followed Bruno's advice and asked her parents to let her attend the Avengers fan costume party. But as expected, they strongly refused because they were worried about her going out late at night. When Kamala argued that she had the right to live her life and that they should trust her more, her mom replied that they trusted her but didn't trust the people around her and were worried about her. Kamala wasn't convinced and believed that if her brother Amir had made the same request, they wouldn't have refused. Her parents tried to persuade her, but she wasn't convinced as long as they refused to let her go to the party. The next day, Kamala was in her room trying on her Captain Marvel costume when her parents surprised her by agreeing to let her attend the party. But on one condition: her dad would go with her, and both of them would dress up as Hulk. Kamala refused, and her mom threatened her, saying that if her dad didn't go with her, she wouldn't be allowed to leave the house. 2 days later, Kamala came up with the idea of sneaking out without her parents knowing. She decided to use the surveillance system Bruno had installed to play a pre-recorded message if anyone entered her room, making them think she was still there. She then went to the party with Bruno and won first place for the best costume. But Kamala hadn't yet completed her costume, so she went out at night to find something to finish it. At that moment, she saw her grandmother's bracelet. When she put it on, something strange happened. The lights went out and came back on. At night, she went to the party with Bruno. There, she was surprised to see Zoe, her schoolmate, wearing the same costume. Kamala felt threatened, thinking she wouldn't win the contest. When she wore the bracelet, she was suddenly surrounded by a glowing shield around her body. In an instant, she was transported to another realm filled with strange people and dark creatures with glowing eyes. She quickly returned to her reality, thinking Bruno had seen what happened. But it turned out she was the only one who saw it. When she went on stage, she got nervous, and suddenly, a strange energy resembling crystals came out of her hands. Everyone was amazed, thinking it was a visual trick. However, one of the energy blasts hit a giant Ant-Man statue, causing its head to fall, wreaking havoc, destroying the place, and even breaking through the wall. At that moment, a chandelier hanging in the hall fell and hit Zoe, who, she clung to her, and as she was about to fall from a great height, Kamala ran to extend her hand to catch and save her. because if she fell from that height, she would die. Suddenly, Kamala's hand transformed into a massive crystal hand, saving Zoe. After what happened, Kamala fled with Bruno before anyone could discover her secret. When she returned home, Bruno stood by the window to help her climb in, and Kamala unintentionally used her powers to create an energy basket to lift herself up quickly. As soon as she stepped off it, it disappeared as if it had never been there. When she entered her room, she was surprised to find her mother waiting for her. Seeing Kamala enter in such a way and realizing she was acting behind their backs, her mother told her she was disappointed in her. All her mother wanted was for her to focus on herself, her life, and her studies so she could achieve something meaningful, instead of her mind wandering in the universe and fantasies without any real accomplishments in life. The next day, as she headed to school, her personality was entirely different. After being afraid of her bullying classmates, she now walked among them with confidence and stood up to them. At that moment, we were surprised to see Zoe stealing the spotlight, talking about a mysterious superhero who saved her life. Zoe claimed she knew the hero's identity but refused to reveal it to protect her from danger. She even announced the hero's name and, in gratitude for saving her life, threw a party at her house and invited everyone. Later, Kamala went with Bruno to show him her new abilities. She used the bracelet to transform her hand, making it massive. However, the weight became so heavy that she couldn't lift her hand off the ground. This made her feel her weakness and decide to train to strengthen herself, with Bruno helping her. When he filmed her using her powers, ultraviolet rays revealed that Kamala's strength didn't actually come from the bracelet as she had thought. Instead, it originated from within her, from her heart, with the bracelet merely opening her eyes and allowing her to manifest it. She began learning to control her new powers, which seemed to be light transforming into a solid state as it emerged from her hands. Bruno tried to decipher the writing on the bracelet but couldn't, as it was like a riddle written in Urdu. Kamala and her friend would go to the mosque weekly for community meetings. When they learned there would be elections for the mosque council president, Kamala suggested her friend Nakia run for the position. Returning home, Kamala apologized to her mother and asked for permission to attend Zoe's party with Bruno and her friend. At the party, she met Cameron, a new student at school, who offered to drive them there. When they arrived, Cameron suggested teaching Kamala how to drive using his car, which made her very happy, and she couldn't refuse. The next day in class, Kamala was lost in her daydreams. Suddenly, her nose began glowing with purple light. She quickly ran to hide in the bathroom before anyone could see her, waiting until she returned to normal. Meanwhile, Bruno learned he was accepted into the prestigious Caltech scholarship program he had always dreamed of joining. However, for the first time, Bruno felt hesitant because it would mean moving to California and being far from his friends. At dinner that evening, Taisha, Amir's fiancée, joined them and asked about their family in Pakistan and what brought them to America. Kamala's father shared the story of the days of World War II and India's independence, which led to a civil war that claimed many lives and plunged the country into chaos. Most people fled to save their lives. Even Muniba's family tried to escape the country and catch the last train out of the city. Sana, Kamala's grandmother, was very young at the time and got lost at the station. Sana's mother disappeared and no one knew where she went. Sana eventually found her way back to her father by following a trail of stars. When Sana's mother was mentioned, Kamala's bracelet began glowing, her eyes turned purple, and she had a vision of a woman appearing to her from another dimension. Kamala fainted, and it took a while for them to revive her. Amir recited Ayat al-Kursi for her. Later in her room, Kamala waited for everyone to sleep before calling her grandmother Sana to ask about the bracelet and the light that emanated from it. However, her grandmother didn't provide much information other than saying it belonged to her mother. At that moment, Kamala's father overheard her speaking and entered her room to see who she was talking to so late at night. Kamala used her powers to shut the door, preventing him from entering, until she ended the call with her grandmother and pretended to be asleep. The next day, Kamala and her family attended a community celebration. Nakia used the gathering to distribute flyers for her campaign and managed to convince Kamala's father to vote for her, even though his close friend was also running. Meanwhile, Zoe was being interrogated by the FBI about the masked girl with superpowers who appeared at the party. Zoe didn't know much and couldn't provide any useful information other than that the girl they were looking for seemed to be of South Asian origin. The police decided to search the mosques. Kamala took advantage of the gathering of elders to ask about her grandmother, but none of them had clear answers about where she went. One woman mentioned that she was accused of killing someone during the partition of India and Pakistan in the Civil War, which led her family to disown her. At that moment, the son of the woman telling the story was leaning out of a window taking a selfie. Suddenly, he lost his balance and was about to fall, clinging to the curtain. No one could help him in time, and the civil defense wouldn't arrive quickly enough. Kamala quickly sneaked away, put on her costume, and rushed to help him. She walked on air, creating solid light steps to reach the boy and save him at the last moment. However, her bracelet suddenly lit up, and she saw portals opening one after another, revealing the same woman she had seen in her vision. Kamala panicked and fell. The step the boy was standing on disappeared, causing him to fall. She tried to create barriers to break his fall, but ended up hitting him until he landed on a car, breaking his leg but surviving. Frightened, Kamala ran to hide in a side street, only to find a drone tracking her. As she emerged from the street, the police blocked her path. She flew over them, landing on the other side of the road, where Kamran suddenly appeared and took her away in his car. His mother, the same woman Kamala had seen in her visions, was with him. Kamran's mother took Kamala to her home and explained her connection to her grandmother Aisha and the bracelet. And she tells her that in India in 1942, during the time of the Civil War, the country was in a state of chaos and destruction. Their group had been searching for a while in ancient sites and historical graves for this bracelet, and they did find it on the blue hand of a strange corpse buried in a statue. At that moment, Aisha took it and wore it, and then the army attacked the place. They were forced to flee and got separated. The bracelet remained with Aisha. Among their discussions while searching for the bracelet, they mentioned needing the second bracelet as well. This means there are two, and they need both to open the barrier or the gate between the two worlds so they can return to their world. It turns out they are not human at all. Kamran's mother tells them they are a group of jinn called the clandestines. Some of them have been in the human world for years and want the bracelet you have, Kamala, to return to their world. This was too much information for Kamala to process, especially after learning she is not human, nor an alien, nor from the Thor people as she initially thought. She discovered her biggest fear. She's related to the jinn. The next morning, Kamala goes to Bruno and asks him to find out everything about Noor energy, the jinn, and interdimensional travel so he can help her. Meanwhile, the police arrive at the mosque searching for her after the chase that happened the previous day. Nakia confronts them, telling them they have no right to enter the mosque in that manner. The following day was Amir's henna celebration and engagement to Taisha, so there was a big party. Later, Yusuf visits Bruno's shop and finds him reading a book about the jinn. There were old Urdu writings in it, which Yusuf reads for him. It turns out to describe a group of jinn living in the human world, moving in secrecy because they are far from their world. To return, they need a key. At that moment, Bruno confirms the accuracy of what Kamran's mother told Kamala. On Amir's wedding night, everyone was gathered in the hall when Kamran arrives to warn Kamala that his mother and her group are coming to kill her family to force her to help them and hand over the bracelet. Kamala quickly sneaks away just as Kamran's mother and her group enter, showing clear malice. Kamala activates the fire alarm, and everyone evacuates the hall quickly. She escapes and hides in the kitchen, but they pursue her. A fight ensues, and she struggles to escape them. Suddenly, they all use their supernatural powers against her, forcing Kamala to use the bracelet's power to overpower them. At that moment, Cameron and Bruno intervene to help her. They manage to fight them off, but the others are stronger and return to attack them, separating them from Kamala to take the bracelet. Kamala asks Cameron's mother why she is doing this, despite her promise to help her. Cameron's mother responds, "Why would I help those who betray me?" At that moment, the bracelet glows and opens a portal, and a train rushes toward them before disappearing suddenly when the police arrive and arrest everyone. Kamala manages to escape. Upon returning home, she calls her grandmother, who tells her that since she saw the train, she must come to Karachi. Kamala is surprised her grandmother knows about the train, despite not being with her. Her grandmother, Sana, explains that she too had seen it before. Kamala tells her mother that her grandmother insists they return to Karachi as soon as possible. Within a few days, Kamala and her mother are on a plane heading to Karachi. Upon arrival, her grandmother and cousins are waiting for them at the airport. When they reach her grandmother's house, Kamala is surprised to find it so large. Later, as Kamala searches for her room, she enters her grandmother's studio filled with her artwork and memories she has held on to for years to remember her mother and her life's details. Her grandmother didn't even have a photo of her mother, just a drawing made by her uncle to keep her memory alive. The next day, Kamala goes with her cousins to explore the city. Determined, Kamala insists on visiting the train station, hoping to find something connecting her to Aisha and what happened that night. Suddenly, she is pursued by someone sensing the Noor energy when he sees her. Kamala defends herself, using her superpowers and trying to escape. When he sees the bracelet, he asks her how she got it from Aisha, given she isn't one of them. He then takes her to meet someone who explains everything to her, They enter a restaurant and go through a secret door in the kitchen, leading Kamala to a strange place, a large hall filled with weapons, swords, and daggers. Waleed welcomes her and explains the truth about the clandestines, that they are from another parallel world. There is a Noor barrier between their world and ours, which can only be broken and destroyed using the bracelet. This is why Kamala must protect it. If the clandestines take it and open the portal to their world, our world will be destroyed and disappear. Waleed notices the writing on the bracelet and translates it for Kamala, saying, "What you seek is seeking you." Meanwhile, in an American prison, Cameron, his mother, and the others escape. However, Cameron's mother abandons him and escapes to pursue Kamala, leaving him behind because he tried to help Kamala. The next day, Kamala is at the Red Dagger headquarters, Waleed's group that protects people from hidden forces. There, Kamala learns to control and strengthen her powers. Waleed tells her that her power comes from within, and the bracelet activated the Noor energy inside her. But her humanity gives her even greater strength, making her extraordinary. Suddenly, the clandestines break into the place through the ceiling, chasing Kamala and her companions to take the bracelet. Waleed holds them off for a while, allowing Kamala and Kareem to escape. A fierce chase ensues in the streets, destroying everything in their path. Eventually, Kamala and Kareem manage to distract the group and hide in a car until the group loses hope of finding them. Meanwhile, Kamran's mother confronts Waleed, killing him after he kills one of her companions. As Kareem and Kamala flee, they find themselves cornered with no escape. The clandestines attack them again, and Kareem kills another one of them. At that moment, Kamran's mother charges at Kamala with a dagger to kill her in revenge for her companions. However, the dagger hits the bracelet, and suddenly Kamala is transported to another time period. She finds herself back on the night Aisha and her family were at the train station trying to escape. Kamala is now on the train tracks, surrounded by people scrambling to board the train. She starts walking among the crowd, trying to understand what is happening and how she ended up there. And we return to the day Aisha was escaping from the British when she found the magical bracelet. She manages to kill the British soldier by throwing his own dagger at him, hitting his heart. Afterwards, she heads to a nearby village to hide or rest under a tree until Hassan, the landowner, sees her. He approaches her, offers help, and brings her food. Aisha introduces herself and stays in the village during that period, helping them grow flowers. Eventually, they get married and Sana brightens their lives. All the while, Aisha keeps wearing the bracelet until one night when a neighbor brings them food to help, as no one else is willing to buy or sell to Hassan because he is Muslim. Due to the country's conflicts, Muslims were being persecuted. Hassan initially refuses to take anything from his neighbor. The important part is that Aisha closes the door and sees Najma, Kamran's mother, which frightens her, and she crouches down. After a while, she goes out to talk to Najma without Hassan noticing. Najma asks her about the bracelet, saying she has been searching for it for a long time and finally found its location. When she demands the bracelet, Aisha tells her it is hidden in a safe place and cannot retrieve it now. Najma gives her until the next night to hand it over. Out of fear for her family, Aisha asks Hassan to leave the village and the country with the people who are fleeing, as they were being persecuted and their houses were being burned. After much persuasion, Hassan finally agrees to protect Sana. Aisha gives the bracelet to Sana to keep her safe wherever she goes. They leave the village and head to the station. When Hassan notices Aisha walking quickly, he stops her to find out what exactly she is running from, because he had seen her with Najma the previous night. Aisha tells him the truth, that she possesses unnatural magic. She shows him the bracelet, making it glow and revealing the writing on it. She asks him to protect Sana at all costs and ensure that no matter what happens, he boards the train with Sana. At that moment, Najma approaches, so Aisha tells Hassan to take Sana and board the train. Aisha returns to confront Najma and delay her. Najma is angry with Aisha for choosing humans over her own people, the clandestines, and betraying them. She stabs Aisha in the stomach to take revenge and ensure she cannot stop her from getting the bracelet again. When Hassan boards the train, he realizes Sana has disappeared among the crowd. He returns to search for her. Aisha hears her daughter calling out to her but cannot reach her or move. She takes out her picture, recites an incantation, and says the phrase, "What you seek is seeking you." Suddenly, the bracelet with Sana glows unusually bright and opens another portal, bringing Kamala to the station. Kamala moves through the crowd until she finds Aisha, who is on the brink of death. Aisha is overjoyed that the bracelet's magic worked and brought her. She gives Kamala the family photograph and asks her to ensure Sana boards the train and is saved. Kamala navigates through the crowd searching for Sana, eventually finding her and reuniting her with her father. However, the crowd is overwhelming and they struggle to move. Kamala creates steps of light for Sana to climb and reach faster, but someone bumps into Kamala, causing her to fall and lose control of her powers. Sana falls to the ground, and the energy steps turn into stars, guiding her to her father, Hassan, who quickly takes her and boards the train. At that moment, Kamala realizes she was the one who saved her grandmother in the past, and it wasn't just a vision. Since Kamala saved Sana and completed her mission, the bracelet glows again and returns her to her real world. However, by then, the veil between the worlds had opened. Najma is thrilled as this is her only chance to return to her realm after all these years. One of Najma's group members approaches the portal that opened between the dimensions to enter, but turns to stone and crumbles to the ground. Everyone is shocked by what happened. When Najma herself approaches the portal, Kamala tries to stop her to save her for Kamran's sake, but Najma feels she abandoned him from the beginning and enters the portal while calling Kamran's name. She dies like her companion, but a wave of light energy flies into the air, reaching Kamran and entering his chest. His body glows, and his hand becomes filled with light energy, similar to Kamala's, but even stronger. He struggles to control or manage it. At that time, Kamala's mother and grandmother arrive searching for her after her mother tracked her phone's location. Her mother is shocked to discover Kamala is the famous girl with superpowers. Kamala gives her grandmother the photo Aisha gave her, the only picture where Aisha appears with her family. Meanwhile, Kamran decides to hide with Bruno since he has nowhere else to go while waiting for his mother to return. When Bruno tries to convince him that his mother won't return because if she cared, she wouldn't have left him in the first place, Kamran refuses to believe it, insisting she would never abandon him as if he were an orphan. Suddenly, a police drone appears outside the window, revealing their location. Kamran unleashes a wave of energy at it, but the drone quickly retaliates by firing a bomb that destroys the entire building. Since Kamran was being hunted by the police, Bruno helps him escape before they arrive and arrest them. Kamala returns home and reveals her secret life to her father and brother. Meanwhile, Nakia calls her, informing her that Kamran and Bruno are in danger, hiding in the mosque. Kamala hurriedly prepares to leave when her mother stops her to give her a special gift, a suit designed specifically for her, resembling Captain Marvel's outfit, but more aligned with their traditions and customs. Kamala is overjoyed, wears it, and rushes to help her friends. She literally walks on air, astonishing everyone. By then, the police had reached the mosque to search it. The imam helps Bruno and Kamran escape through the back door. Once outside, they hide in an alley, where Kamala appears and sees how unstable Kamran's powers are, causing him harm. She contacts Kareem for help and agrees to meet him at the port, but it is still early for the agreed time, so they hide in their school, thinking they would be safe there. However, they did not anticipate the police surrounding the school and storming in. They had to act quickly and come up with a plan to protect Kamran. At that moment, Zoe appears and joins them to help, since Kamran had saved her life before. They start setting up a trap in the building. As soon as the police storm the place, Zoe, Bruno, Nakia, and Amir distract them to allow Kamran to escape from the school. But while this is happening, Kamran learns from Kamala that his mother has died, and he struggles to come to terms with it. At that moment, one of the police officers attacks him, but Kamran uses his newfound powers to overcome him. He begins to lose control of his powers, causing destruction in the area as he tries to escape without being caught. Outside the school, there was a large crowd of people gathered. When Kamran emerges, the police start shooting at him, and he tries to protect himself. Kamala quickly arrives to shield him, creating an energy barrier to block the bullets. To delay them, she enlarges herself to a giant size and attacks the police. The weapon they were using, a sonic cannon, is destroyed. When the police were about to kill Kamran, he releases all the energy within him, creating a strange mass of crystalline rocks that could have killed people. Kamala rushes to them, creates a dome around them, and says his mother sacrificed herself for him. She strikes the ground, creating a tunnel for Kamran to escape to the port. Afterward, the police try to arrest her, but the gathered crowd prevents them. Kamala flies away quickly to help Kamran. A week after all this happened, Kamran had reached Karachi and met Kareem to help him. He also gave his car to Bruno, who was very happy with it. Every night, Kamala would wear her suit and patrol the city to help anyone in need or stop any evil. In the final scene, we see Kamala in her room after a long and tiring day. As soon as she enters, she throws herself on the bed from exhaustion, and suddenly her bracelet emits a strange light. Kamala disappears and Captain Marvel appears in her room, surprised by all the posters and pictures Kamala had filled the room with. And with that, our movie and story for today come to an end. Don't forget to support with a like, share the video, subscribe to the channel, and activate the notification bell so you don't miss any new updates from us.